Hi guys, welcome back to the Creative Corner. It's been a while. It usually is. Before we start, bear with me. I've been sick, and if I start coughing in a fit of coughing, forgive me. All right. I've also rearranged things, so our background has changed. I felt like I missed the close-up background from last year, but I still want to do some different vibes, and eventually I'm gonna move you more like this, but that is bugging me. I have some curtains I want to get to fix that are sage green, but I haven't gotten that far yet. Also, if you watched the bonus review that I did of Say a Little Prayer, that was very messy. And I apologize. It was a very messy video. And I really didn't know how to review it. I didn't know what to say or anything, but I had some people requesting it, and so I felt like we needed to review it. But yeah, it was very messy. And I considered doing a part 2 of it to talk about more in depth the good side of things. But honestly, I just think I need to let it lay and move on. And so, as I said, I've been sick, so I haven't actually been reading much. But then today, I was like, dude, I should read something. And so, I picked up 2 comic books that I've been meaning to read. Well, I've had them on my Kindle, but I finally opened them. And so we are going to review Sonic the Hedgehog, Scrapnik Island, number 3 and 4. They both get 5 stars because, like with the first one we reviewed, I go into a comic looking for a Saturday morning cartoon fill, as we talked about, and so that was what I was looking for. And so they get yellow because they are graphic novels. Technically, they are comics, but we're going to list them as graphic novels. And I do recommend, okay, so reading this series, it's been a while since I've read a comic book series individually. Used to do it all the time. But then I discovered, volumes. And I love volumes because you get them all, and then at that point, what? Oh, it's tarot. Then at that point, everything flows together and each comic is more like a chapter. But if you read them as individual comics, it's more like getting an episode. Because usually they release sometimes it's once a month, sometimes it's once a week. It really depends on the comic schedule. When I was younger, it was once a month. Don't know what it is anymore, gonna be honest. But so I read these as individual comics, and I would recommend, if you wanted to read this series, I would recommend getting the volume, okay? Because this series would read better as a complete collection than it does by itself. I gave it 5 stars, as I said, because it's got what I'm looking for in a comic. But I think overall it would have been a better reading experience had I got the volume. And the reason I'm going to say that is episodes 1 and 2, comics 1 and 2, moved, relatively slow. Sonic and Tails crashed on this island. Turned out it was full of robots that were discarded by Eggman. That was episode 1. Episode 2, they run into Mecha Sonic, and Mecha Sonic, as Sigma has said that Mecha Sonic has been reprogrammed. Something goes wrong. Mecha Sonic and Mecha Knuckles get into a fight, and his programming comes back online, and he kidnaps Sonic. That's episode 2, okay? So going into episode 3, we just got through basically the beginning of the story, and so I had high hopes. I was like, okay, so now we got to be close to the climax. We're about halfway through this series. It's a 4-part series, and so I was expecting a lot of action, and I got a lot of action. Sonic's kidnapped through the whole thing. In Scrapnik Island number 3, Sonic is kidnapped by Mecha. It focuses on Tails. Mecha Sonic is going after Tails' tablet, and he needs it because he wants to download Sonic's mind into his own mind, so that he can get off the island. But we don't know that yet. We just know that he's after the tablet. And so Tails finds out that, through the help of the other robots, Tails finds out that Mecha has kidnapped Sonic and sets out to help Sonic, and then there's this battle between him and Mecha. It was nice seeing Tails as a hero for a little bit. He did his little spin from the video games with his two tails, so that was good to see. It's been a while since I've seen that, honestly, in anything. I don't know if I've seen it in any of the cartoons recently about him or anything. To be fair, I haven't actually finished Sonic Prime, and Sonic Boom it's its own little thing. Like, Eggman and Sonic schedule their fights. It's more of a comedy than a action kid show. But anyway, so this leaves off after the battle with Tails. It's literally like a 5-10 page story, and then we go into book 4. Book 4 is the ultimate ending for this series. Oh my gosh. Book 4 is the ultimate ending for this series. In number 4 of Scrapnik Island, we find out the real reason for this whole story, because Mecha basically trauma dumps on Sonic, which I can relate to, obviously, and he kind of half succeeds in downloading Sonic's mind, but not really. Like, he gets part of his mind into Sonic, but not all the way into Sonic, because ultimately he's trying to steal Sonic's body, is what it is, because he needs to be faster to get off the island. And so Sonic starts being able to remember things that Mecha experienced and feel Mecha's emotions that he feels, which could bring up the whole conversation of, do robots have emotions, or is it just programming kind of thing? But we're not going to get into that topic, because for a kid's book, that's too serious of a conversation, I think. Because in here, Mecha is learning to be his own person, basically. And he and Sonic get into a fight, and Sonic's wounded through this whole thing. And he says a couple things that I really like. First off, Mecha says, "You've reached your limit, you're not going to be able to beat me." And then Sonic goes, "That's the thing about limits, they are made to be broken." And then later on he talks about when he finds out that Mecha feels like a failure all the way around, because he failed his mission objective for Eggman, and then he feels like he failed his mission objective for Sigma, who brought him back to life on the island. And so he just thinks he's worthless. He thinks he's trash. He calls himself trash. And Sonic has this little heart-to-heart moment with him, talking about how your value doesn't come from other people or your mandates. It comes from yourself. You are the one who ultimately determines your value, and what others say about you doesn't matter. You need to live for yourself and live for tomorrow instead of for what everyone else wants of you. And so he has that conversation with Mecha, and ultimately it has a nice, good feel ending. So I think it's great for kids, obviously, because it is, ultimately Sonic is a children's book, okay? It is juvenile literature, but some of us that are adults still love it because it's got this nostalgic feel to it. And so I enjoyed it, and so I gave it 5 stars. But like I said, I do recommend picking this up as a collection, because I picked them all up individually, and as I was reading them, I had to force myself to continue reading them, because, I hit episode 2 and nothing much had happened. And I was just like, ugh, I'd rather read something else. And so I had to, force myself to finish it. But 3 and 4 were worth it. I do wish 3 had a longer fight scene. It had a fight scene, and I wish it had been longer, though. And I wish we had gotten to see more of Tails' abilities than we did. I know that he's not as powerful as Sonic, technically. He's a child, first of all. But he's a genius, and he's smart, and so he goes into this battle with this makeshift weapon that he creates to take down Mecha, but, where did I mess up here? I messed up right there, and it wasn't even on this round, it was a couple ago. Well, we're gonna fix it this round. To take on Mecha and his tablet, and then his little spin thing. So I feel like that scene could have been a little bit better, and they could have expanded more on Tails' abilities than they did, but overall, it was a good series. And so, pick it up if you want something nostalgic, something just lighthearted to read. I have picked up 3 other Sonic comics to read. However, the current series is the one that I got them from, and they are, they're at number, like, I can't remember if it was 60 or 80 or something like that. It's really high up. And so I decided not to start at number 1. And it's the same ones from the Spring Broken comic I had read, which was the first one on our book, Blanket. And so I went through and I picked out 3 or 4 comics that were back to back, and I read all the synopsis so that I hopefully picked out ones that are not affected too much by the ones before them, because in a series sometimes that happens, that everything builds up, you know? But also in the comic book series, usually it's done in, like, it takes 3 or 4 and then moves on to the next problem, basically. And so hopefully I will get those read soon, but I am currently reading Two Can Play by Allie Hazelwood because I've been wanting to read it for a while. And yeah, that's where we're at. So I'm going to finish adding these 2 stripes. One for each comic on here, and call it good. So thanks, guys. Wish me well. Finally got an antibiotic, thank God.